Have you ever been to an aviation museum and dreamed of being one of those crazy innovators who risked their lives for the evolution of aviation? Asks the creator of the human drone. He himself definitely was, and once it inspired him so much that he assembled a model that can lift an adult human. The drone is about 6 feet long and has a flight time of up to 15 minutes. The 8 motors provide a payload capacity of about 220 pounds, and the optimal height of the pilot is up to 6 feet. The project turned out to be so interesting that it was even shown on Brazilian television. The author explains that he doesn't want to share any details or assembly diagrams, as the project is really dangerous. The assembled model was preceded by 10 different prototypes, and in case of malfunction and control failure, the operator on the ground can take control of the drone. Global sales of ATVs from 2012 to 2020 have set 8 consecutive sales records. Meanwhile, Buggy's sales have almost doubled between 2012 and 2021. The popularity of this vehicle is so high that during the pandemic, many experts simply built their own models. The creator of this version is a mechanical engineer from the United States who has a passion for building entertainment vehicles. The Buggy is designed for 2 people, and with the right skills, it can even be used for drifting and other spectacular stunts. And the cherry on the cake is a huge muffler. I'm an excavator operator, and I'm impressed by your project, says a viewer in the comments, and at the same time asks for a list of the parts used. On the screen is a homemade excavator, which was built from scratch in about a year. At the core of the machine is a 20 horsepower Mitsubishi L3E diesel engine. The excavator is no less functional than its big brothers. It can dig holes, work with loose bulk cargo, and level and shovel sites, because the bucket is completed with a small dozer blade, and all of this in a comfortable seat with 2 joysticks. The crossbow was invented around the 4th to the 5th century BC, and many experts believe that the first versions were stationary. The weapon had a rather complicated history. On the one hand, it was expensive and not very convenient, but on the other hand, it combined great power and easy training. For example, 16th century military crossbows allowed to hit the target at a distance of 200 steps. An experienced crossbowman could hit a chicken egg from 100 steps. As a result, crossbows have successfully reached our days and remain very popular. Thousands of results pop up if you Google how to make a crossbow. This version is a striking example. It was made by a person who runs a channel on homemade weapons. It's a double-shot crossbow that can be attached to the arm. This video has become a real hit, and for a very good reason. After watching it, you can make your own hoverboard. This YouTuber from India was kind enough to provide viewers with a link to a list of all parts needed. More exactly, plywood, some 250-watt motors, a pair of bicycle wheels of about 10 inches, a pair of caster wheels like the ones used in supermarket carts, and a battery for at least 7 amp hours. Like the ones used for uninterruptible power supplies. Doesn't look too reliable? Well, in 2016, the US had to recall from sale more than 500,000 production hoverboards from several companies at once. It turned out that the batteries on unsuccessful models were prone to overheating. At least 100 people complained about explosions and fires. So, with this hoverboard, you'll have confidence in the components you have chosen yourself. How to build a tank in 5 minutes. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? The creators of this model even made a website explaining the project in detail. Fans of military history probably recognize the tank. It is the MS-1, a Soviet light tank for infantry support. Production began in 1928, and some MS-1s were even used at the beginning of World War II. The engine of this model is a Japanese 3-cylinder Kubota diesel, and for some elements, very unconventional solutions were used. For example, the 37mm cannon was assembled from plastic rings placed on a tube. Then it was ground and puttied. The authors of the project planned to build a German Panzer I tank in the future. Burning Man has been described by its organizers as an experiment in creating a community of radical self-expression. Simply put, it's a hybrid between a Mad Max movie, a huge party, and a survival show. So, this vehicle fits in perfectly, and the name suits it really well. To begin with, riders have to climb into the seats and sit almost like F1 drivers. The seats rotate around the axis, which allows to do various tricks, if you're able to keep your balance. The human-sized wheels are heavily customized. Hoses and spokes from a motorcycle store are used. There's no steering wheel, so it's hard to make turns, but anyone can take a ride. Homemade rockets, from very modest models to giants that can go into space, are no less popular. For example, in 2019, a model assembled by US students reached an altitude of about 62 miles and crossed the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space. Meanwhile, on the screens is an equally interesting project. Its goal was not only to fly, but also to become the largest model rocket in the world. This replica is a tribute to the Mercury Redstone project of the early 60s, which tested a parachute recovery system. Unfortunately, the project wasn't successful, and eventually the idea was shelved until the space shuttle. The 3/4 scale model is 64 feet high and has a diameter of 5 feet. On April 8, 2018, the rocket was successfully launched and managed to climb to an altitude of 2,638 feet, and then successfully landed with several parachutes. According to the Flight Global website, the world helicopter fleet exceeded 56,000 units in 2015. However, the statistics probably don't include homemade models like this one. This helicopter was built back in 1979, the same year the legendary Sikorsky Black Hawk was launched. The design is simple but reliable. The helicopter is equipped with a 28-horsepower Buran snowmobile engine. The helicopter has already flown 93 miles, and the approximate maximum flight altitude is about 26 to 33 feet. The comments section is full of experts. They suggest replacing the pipes with carbon plastic ones, which would allow to take more fuel, and install a more powerful engine with at least 50 or even 60 horsepower. What do you think? What do you do if you have a mini tractor but no mower? Build one yourself, of course. That's exactly what DIYer Michael Caldwell did. He not only assembled a fully working model, but also posted a detailed video describing the process and showing how effective his creation is. The mowing width is about 30 inches, and thanks to the 4 blades, the mower easily handles even fairly tall shrubs. During the assembly, the master used things that he had at hand. For example, parts from an old trailer, as well as an old hedge trimmer. For extra convenience, he added a 10-inch wheel. Commenters are delighted with the invention. They're sure that it could be mass-produced with just a little bit of work. However, the author explains that his homemade machines are one-offs, and there's still room for upgrades.